And then.
But I'm not saying it didn't happen. I think there's a very good chance it does.
Senator Rand Paul says it's possible that the Obama administration spied on President Trump. Journalist Sarah Carter is here to weigh in.
Whether we do it or not, it'll be imploded off the map.
And President Trump moves ahead to repeal and replace Obamacare. Plus, Republican saboteurs continue to undermine the president's agenda. Monica Crowley, Geraldo Rivera, they have reaction. Hannity starts right here, right now.
And welcome to Hannity, reporting from Washington tonight. So the alt-left propaganda destroyed Donald Trump media without any evidence whatsoever, continues to push this false Russian narrative. Why? To destroy the president. That's tonight's opening monologue. All right, so as we've been reporting since last week, serious journalists at Circuit News have now debunked the fake news narrative about a connection between President Trump and Russia. Now, it's one thing for the alt-left propaganda media to not vet Barack Obama. They didn't do that. They didn't look at his radical ties because they have his agenda. But what's happening now is a dereliction of duty that is now bordering on malice and malpractice by continuing to run wild with this Trump-Russia story that actual journalists are reporting is just not true. Now, take a look at some of the worst examples from the propaganda press. Take a look.
We are, number one, nailing down more direct connections between the Trump campaign and the Russian government at the time the Russian government was influencing our election. And number two, at the same time, we are also starting to see what may be signs of continuing influence in our country, not just during the campaign, but during the administration. Basically signs of what could be a continuing operation.
Vladimir Putin over there in the Kremlin did everything he could to put guess who in the White House.
CNN has learned that the nation's top intelligence officials provided information to President-elect Donald Trump and to President Barack Obama last week about claims of Russian efforts to compromise President-elect Trump.
Did you know there's not a shred of evidence? Do these people have any intellectual honesty, any integrity at all? Not to mention, sources have told Hannity, as well as Circuit News, as they have reported. Remember the FISA warrant they keep talking about, granted back in October? It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And every time this issue of so-called Russian collusion came up, it was debunked by law enforcement. So when is the destroy Trump media, are they ever going to apologize, admit they were completely wrong? And by the way, we can't forget about the media freaking out over people connected to the Trump campaign meeting with a Russian ambassador. Remember that? Well, it's political standard practice. In fact, over the weekend, shocker of all shocks, Russian spokesman actually said people tied to Hillary Clinton's campaign did the exact same thing during the campaign. Wow.
Did he have similar meetings with Clinton campaign officials? Because I don't know of any.
Well, if you look at some people connected with Hillary Clinton during her campaign, you would probably see that he had lots of meetings of that kind. But there were no meetings about electoral process.
So where's all the liberal outrage? Where are the calls for congressional investigations? Now, this is a perfect example of stunning hypocrisy from the left. Now, the dishonest media is also hysterical over President Trump asking 46 Obama-era U.S. attorneys to resign, even though several presidents, including former President Bill Clinton, have done the same thing, taken the same action. Instead of acknowledging this fact, the press is now saying that yours truly, that I am responsible for the president's decision. I'd love to take credit, but it wouldn't be true. Take a look.
This comes less than 24 hours after Fox News personality Sean Hannity, a friend of the president, said this.
Now, for weeks, we've been warning you about the deep state Obama holdover government bureaucrats who are hell-bent on destroying this president, President Trump. Tonight, it's time for the Trump administration to begin to purge these saboteurs before it's too late.
So, coincidence, you think, or is this another example of the president having a knee-jerk reaction to a right-wing news story?
Sessions' decision to clean house comes one day after Trump loyalist Sean Hannity called for a purge.
I got to laugh because I was talking about deep state Obama holdovers. I don't think I mentioned U.S. attorneys once, but I am glad those of you in the liberal media are watching because maybe you'll finally learn something for once. And by the way, I'd love to take credit that our monologue influenced the president. Here's a simple truth. You know what? During the campaign, I once suggested to the president, maybe he wants to stop tweeting. He didn't listen then. He makes up his own mind. Now, if members of the propaganda media weren't so lazy and closed-minded and dishonest, they would know that President Trump is his own man. He makes his own decisions. And if they actually cared about the truth, they would tell you that all the way going back to Lincoln, presidents have fired and replaced government officials. Now, it's not new. In fact, in 1993, Bill Clinton, in fact, fired all 93 U.S. attorneys. Barack Obama replaced Bush-era attorneys. And take a look at former Attorney General Eric Holder defending the decision way back to Congress in 2009. Take a look.
We are working as quickly as we can to put new U.S. attorneys in place. I expect that we'll have an announcement in the next couple of weeks with regard to our first batch of U.S. attorneys. One of the things that we didn't want to do was to disrupt the continuity of the offices and pull people out of positions where we thought there might be a danger that might have on the continuity, the effectiveness of the offices. But it is our intention, elections matter, it is our intention to have the U.S. attorneys that are selected by President Obama in place as quickly as we can.
Just like Holder said, elections matter, and President Trump has the right to put his people in place. But the alt-left, propaganda, destroy Trump media, well, they're not going to tell you that because they're the ones who are in the tank for Obama. They're the ones that colluded with Hillary Clinton in her campaign and who are now openly lying to you night after night, you, the American people, about who President Trump is and what he's trying to accomplish. Here with reaction, the author of The Greatest Comeback, Patrick J. Buchanan, joins us, sir. You didn't know I was that powerful, did you?
Good to see you, Sean, and congratulations.
Yeah, you're going to give me the credit,
46.
Too? 46 in one shot. Not bad, right? You know, it's funny. I've actually watched the president in action. He'll take consensus in a room, and he makes up his own mind. You've been around presidents like that.
Well, I think, look, you're a friend of his, and you're a supporter, and I think you did the right thing. Look, let me tell you a story.
But I didn't tell him to do that.
1992, the morning after Nixon won 49 states, we were called into the Roosevelt room, and he said, Haldeman said, everybody turn in your resignations. And the president will pick up the ones he wants to accept, and the ones he wants to keep, he'll talk to you. I mean, that's what you do, and I think it's what the president should have done when he comes in. Said, look, everybody pro forma, write a letter of resignation today. Some of you may need to keep you on to finish up your work. But all the jobs, I mean, you're resigned and you're gone.
Let's talk about this deep state. There are still a lot of holdovers. And, look, I have great respect for intelligence. It's something that's necessary in a world as evil as this. I believe that we're being spied on. We've got to spy on them. We've got to know our enemy better than they know us. But when you have our intelligence community using classified information and leaking it selectively, it hurts the president, it hurts the country.
You know, as Hamlet said, there is something rotten in the state here, Sean. Look, General Clapper, DNI, the head of Director of National Intelligence, said, I believe, January 20th, we have found, after 6 months, I guess it was, no evidence of any collusion whatsoever between the Trump campaign and the Russians and all these leaks. And yet we get story after story saying intelligence sources say. I mean, these intelligence, either the journalists are lying, which I don't believe, I think they've got the sources, or the sources are breaking their oath and breaking the law by leaking out falsehoods or things they don't know to damage the President of the United States, and it's being done within the government of the United States.
Sarah Carter and John Solomon, AP, right. 20 years. These are seasoned, real journalists. They're not opinion people like I am, but they are reporting that, yeah, there was a FISA warrant in October, probably having to do with the larger Russia connection, but not with Trump. And they go further. Anytime the Trump campaign issue came up, it was investigated and debunked.
All right, but yet, you got 8 months this thing has been going on. Why has there not been, look, 8 months into Watergate, we had 7 guys indicted, convicted, prosecuted, the rest of it, and sentenced. They were gone. You got 8 months in, not a single indictment. If there's somebody that did something wrong in the Trump campaign and did something illegal, which I don't believe, and which Clapper said they didn't find, then indict him or shut up. I mean, these individuals keep going out and saying the same thing again and again and again without any evidence whatsoever.
How does NBC even call themselves a news organization when the What about how critical is it for President Trump, as I talk about deep state and I talk about a purge? I think it's critical. Obama holdovers in any department, State Department, intelligence, they got to go. Secondly, whoever the leakers are in the intelligence community, they're giving the all these agencies a bad name. They're giving the profession a bad name. I'm sure it's a small few, probably high up.
I think
how important it is they get indicted.
Look, I think Director Comey of the FBI, there's only a few people that have this information, and only a few people can be leaking it. They ought to run them down, take them out, prosecute them, punish them, and fire them.
Do you have faith in Comey?
You know, everything I heard about the guy or have heard about him is impressive, that he's got real character and dignity and honor. But I don't understand. Why, look, the guys in these agencies have an obligation to run these. You got people in there who are betraying their oaths, you know, disloyal to the agency.
It's a felony.
The commander-in-chief, committing felonies. Why doesn't the FBI investigate that? Look, again, suppose somebody in Trump's campaign got on the phone after a night of drinking and called the Russian ambassador and said, look, drop another bunch of email. Look, that is not a crime.
Right.
And Clapper says no crimes have been committed, but crimes are being committed
by leaking. Violation of the Espionage Act.
Look, and you got the Fourth Estate collaborators who got First Amendment protection are the ones working with these deep state folks. And they're trying to damage.
So this purge needs to go to where we're talking.
I think it
intelligence leakers and Obama
I would
holdovers.
go to the Intelligence Committee of both houses and say, you've got to, run down to see if any Trump folks were fooling around with the Russians, fine. But get into all these leaks, find out where they were, and prosecute these guys. Listen, I think I mentioned, I don't know whether it was on your show, but look, Donald Trump, you know what his vote was in D.C.? 4.
I got to roll, Pat.
Look, I could have beat him.
In D.C. All right, Pat Buchanan, good to see you. All right, up next on this busy Monday news night here tonight on Hannity.
I doubt that Trump was a target directly of any kind of eavesdropping, but I'm not saying it didn't happen. I think there's a very good chance it does.
Senator Rand Paul saying it is possible that someone from the Obama administration was in fact snooping on the Trump campaign. Sarah Carter, Circa News, she's been ahead of the curve on this, joins us next. Also, President Trump thinks he is beginning to make progress on the GOP Obamacare replacement bill. In a mini monologue tonight, I'll explain why congressional Republicans seemed ill-prepared for the moment as we hold them accountable tonight. And we'll check in with Monica Crowley and Geraldo Rivera straight ahead.